Hey everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to the PHLY Flyers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And we certainly did not have an ordinary game tonight, Hinkle. Flyers lose it 6-4 in regulation to the Hurricanes. Certainly felt like maybe this one was ticketed for overtime. Good battle. I like the pace to the game. I think it's some of the most intense we've seen the Flyers play tonight, but ultimately the territorial battle and eventually the score battle is won by the better team.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, this is one of those games where that empty net goal really skews what the game looks like as far as the box score goes, because it was obviously very close for pretty much the entire game. Even though the shot differential, not close. That was kind of what we expected it to be. Carolina got a ton of shots. The Flyers did not get that many. But honestly, everyone seems kind of bummed about this game, but I think there were a lot of things that I think we need to complain about, obviously.
Of course.
But there were some positives from this game as well.
No, I thought there were definitely things to build on for this team. You get outshot 35-16. You eventually lose. You give up the game-winning goal with how much time was left?
29 or something.
Yeah, 19:29. So 31 seconds remaining in the game in regulation. That's a bummer. You did kind of feel it coming. They had the puck. They were buzzing. It was just like, is Kolosov going to be able to squeeze that shot? He doesn't. Rebound sits there. They put it in. But I do think there were some positives. And I want to I know it's crazy to say for a goalie who, .853 save percentage on the night, gives up 5. But I want to start with Aleksei Kolosov because I do think there were some things for him to build on tonight. Again, the game winner, that's rough. The puck, it felt like he was going to squeeze it. He has it, and then you see the glove close, and then the puck drop, and it's just, oh no, chaos ensues. They score the what becomes the game winner. But first thing I noticed tonight about Kolosov that I thought was a positive. Remember that bank off the boards goal he gave up a couple of games ago? Puck comes off the back wall, and then he's not all the way over, and they're able to jam it in off the pad. Carolina threw a lot of stuff at him, whether it was from behind the goal line or odd angle shots and all that, and he was pretty much up for the task. He was ready for it. It seems like that's an adjustment he made, and he's a goalie who, man, if he ever gets that speed and athleticism under control, he's going to be a problem. He has overcommitted sometimes. You go, hey, gaping net. But I thought that something I noticed early on he did well was take away a lot of those chances. It seemed like they were throwing at him, like they saw some of those goals he gave up from weird angles and were trying to capitalize. And it's the Caps. They shoot from everywhere. But I thought this was overall a good learning experience for Kolosov. Listen, we're going to have different reactions when he gives up 5 than when Fedotov does, because there's a 7-year, whatever it is, 5-year difference in their age. I thought there were some good positives to take away from him tonight.
So also he gave up 5 goals, but he gave up 5 goals. And someone put it in our Slack. I think it was Kurt, friend of the pod, on 4.86 expected goals. So, I mean, he essentially gave up the goals that he was supposed to give up, considering the shot quality. So, really not that bad. I feel like if we went back and look at one of Kolosov's or Fedotov's game, it would be 6 goals on 2 expected goals. His goals look worse. You know what I mean? They seem weaker. Don't fact check that. But I was pretty happy with what I saw from Kolosov. I mean, there's some stuff he needs to work on, particularly his rebound control and covering the puck. He seems to be a little bit needs to work on. But for the most part, against a really tough team, not so bad.
No, he absolutely fought through a lot of chaos, a lot of traffic tonight. I like to see him battling for pucks. He gets taken out by basically a teammate on one.
Forster.
There's 2 defensemen behind the net for a wide open man in front. Was it Jackson Blake's goal? There were 5 goals, and That's never good. This is results-based business. At the end of the day, if your goals against is 5, you didn't play a good game.
Sure.
But we're grading him on the developmental scale because that's how we're looking at him. And I did think there were some positive takeaways. It's just stuff to work on. It's not like, oh, this is a hole in his game that this is just something they have to deal with. It's things that I think he can get better at, whether it's, on Thursday or Saturday or over the next couple of years while he has the opportunity.
Yeah, I would really only that Robinson goal in the second period was really the only one that I looked at it and I was like, "Oh, he really should have had that one." But otherwise, I think that he made most of the saves that he should have made. The Flyers could have done a better job tightening up in front of him, of course. But on the whole, I couldn't. I don't know how you could have watched that game, Kolosov specifically, and come away thinking anything other than, you know what? All right. Like, if he's going to be the backup, all right, not so bad. I'll take it.
Yeah, speaking of Eric Robinson, that's another one of those. If this game had been in Philly, I always bet him to score in Philly because he's from Belmar. He's from right over the bridge. Bet365, our presenting sponsor, man. I hope you talked. I hope everyone bet the stuff that I talked about but didn't want.
Literally.
We get the Frost goal. We get the Tippett goal. Shane Gostisbehere, no points. They put up 6. He doesn't have any. It's just a tremendous night for me as my losing continues. Thank goodness I always have the disclaimer, beer and pizza money only on these bets, especially prop bets, because if anyone's putting any substantial money on the stuff I do, and I don't know why you would, we got crushed again tonight. But yeah, I want Kolosov to be better, and because the other option right now is Fedotov, it's like, all right, man, you just trial by fire here.
Yeah.
He wasn't great, but a team that averages 4 goals a game, a team that averages, the 37 shots, they got 35 tonight, so basically hit their average on everything.
Right.
I thought he was fine. I thought he was okay.
He did not lose this game.
No.
Like, that's the thing. Like, he didn't win us the game, which is what you would like to see your goalie do, but he definitely didn't lose it. And like, that's the bare minimum that you can ask. And we got that. Like, the Flyers could have done a better job sealing up the game in other ways, but he gave them a chance to win. And that's what you need, I think, especially from your backup goaltender. You just need a chance to win the game. And I think he gave that to them.
Yeah, like, you guys stop running into each other a little bit. Yeah. If maybe you have a power play with a chance to win, you don't get pinned in your own end, so they call a penalty. Was it soft? Yeah, but don't give them the chance to make the call.
You still did it. Yeah,
like, don't give them the chance to make the call. Have the puck. Win the opening faceoff. How about that? Like, there were opportunities for the Flyers, despite only 16 shots on goal, to win this thing. Even late, there's 30 or so seconds left, 29, I think, and if they pull the goalie. And that brings us to Matvei Michkov tonight. He does get an assist on the power play goal to start the game, open the game 1-0. In the second period, he was back with Morgan Frost. It looked like the centers got flipped, Coots and Morgan Frost. And then in the third period, Matvei Michkov plays 2:52 in the third. He took 4 shifts, none in the final 6 minutes. Now, listen, tie game for a lot of it. They're buzzing offensively. Carolina is. You want more defensive responsibility out there. You don't want to give up the winning goal as much as you want to score. You also don't want a defensive blunder. I don't have a huge problem with it, but man, it's like the way we're grading Kolosov. It's like, yeah, man, he just has to fight through it. He's got to develop through it. I get Tortorella is going to be Tortorella, and this is a part of coaching. We talked about it the last time Mish got benched. Sometimes you got to let him play through it, though. You got to let him be him, kind of the way you said you were going to let him be him early in the season.
The thing that I'm struggling with this particular turn of events is I don't remember seeing him make like a glaring error in the third period that would have led to Tortorella being like, you know what? No, you're stable to the bench now. Like, I don't remember. And the last time this happened, like visibly, he was having a poor game. Tonight, I don't think he did. Like he got the point finally back on the score sheet. That's good. If you want to, as you said, maybe in those particular situations, get a more defensively minded player out there over him. Okay. But when we get to that final minute and you are just going to go for it with 30 seconds left and try to win the game, how are you not putting him out? Like, how is he not the guy that goes out there? I don't get it.
You know, that was in the that first period benching he had a couple of games ago or last, whenever the hell it was at this point. Yes, he wasn't taking his regular 5-on-5 shift right away. And then, like, after like one or two maybe missed shifts, the Flyers get a power play. And it's like, well, this is Misha's thing. So we're going to put him back out there. And he plays on that power play and then doesn't get back out in the first until like the last couple of minutes. And then he gets back out on the ice. Now, maybe this is a like repeat offense thing. But honestly, for me, Michkov, I'm just not. And again, like I tweeted today when we sent out the video talking about what we've seen out of him in the first 12 games. It's crazy to talk about a 19-year-old like this, but he raised our expectations almost immediately. It's like, no, we expect you to be the catalyst of the offense. Right now, I will say, shift-to-shift basis, I'm just not seeing him make the impact I'm hoping for. And we're 13 games in. Like into a 19-year-old's career.
Yeah.
I know that the expectations are just unfairly high right now. But part of me understand what's going on. But the other part is he's not going to learn unless he gets the opportunity to make up. He's not going to be able to make up for it unless he gets the opportunity to make up for it. And we did get, it's not all negative, you know, we did get, like you said, the assist on the power play goal tonight. And the NHL PR tweets out, Matvei Michkov becomes the second rookie to hit the 10-point mark this season with his 6 assists of 24-25. And in the tweet, there's an image. Michkov became the third Flyers player in the past 30 years to register his first 10 career points in 13 or fewer games, joining JVR. He did it in 9 games in 2009-10. And Mike Richards, Hinks, 11 games. He had 10 points in 2005-06. And that just kind of really grounds me again in terms of what the expectations should be. You know, Mike Richards, from the moment he was drafted, he's your next captain. He's the guy.
Yeah.
And JVR, you know, second overall pick, the Patrick Kane door prize, you know. Mish, considerably younger than those guys. Those guys had full amateur/juniors careers. Richards, you know, played a full playoff in the AHL during the lockout before his rookie season. Those guys a little older than Mish is right now, not even 20 years old yet. So there is a part that's like everyone has to reset their expectations. But John Tortorella is here to make a man out of boys. So maybe it pays off down the line. It's just annoying when this was a good, fun game.
Yeah.
If one of our, if not our most skilled forward plays in it in the third period, perhaps there's a different outcome.
I think what's frustrating me, and this is something that I think you talked about several games ago, that it seems like John Tortorella is doing too much like panic moving in game. You know what I mean? Like the line jumbling and the changing things and the not keeping things together and switching things up all the time and benching your most talented player when you're trying to win a 1-goal game. You know what I mean? Like I know that his goal, obviously, every single game is to win the game. So that's what his thought is. But you just said that he's here to develop these players into the best possible versions of themselves. And I don't know if these two things necessarily can be done at the same time, all the time.
That's it's a balancing
very
act.
Tough for me.
It absolutely is. And I'm going to talk more about the offense and, you know, listen, some other guys. It's not often this season Mish, yeah, he had the 1 point, but really wasn't a standout player. And they put in 4 goals for only like the second or third time this year. That's some pretty good stuff for this team. But first, I got to tell you about our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You've been hearing about the struggles I've been having in terms of the Flyers betting this year, but whatever your sport of choice, your sports book of choice should be Bet365. They have over 90 million users worldwide, live stream over 780,000 events each year. They've been one of the pioneers in in-game betting, and the thing I love, it's the early bet payout offers across the NBA, NFL, NHL, and Major League Baseball. If the Flyers, say you want to bet them on the money line and they ever open up a 3-goal lead on a team, not sure if that's going to happen at all this year, but maybe it does. And if they do, you don't need to wait till the end of the game to get their money. Your team goes up 3-0. Boom, it's marked a winner. Money line bets and parlays as well. So make sure you download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. My gambling problem is I can't win. But
you're fixing the Flyers, though.
I am.
You're reverse jinxing them.
I'm telling you things I'm thinking about, but aren't going to put money on, and then they happen, and the things I put money on don't happen.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to go see what happens during the game. You've made your bets. Now it's time to get some tickets. Do it with Game Time, baby, and their newest feature, Game Time Picks. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff and only shows you the absolute best deals on tickets, curates it to makes it even easier to find the seats you want at the best prices for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And you still have all the old features that made Game Time great, from the all-in pricing. There's never going to be surprises or anything. Just toggle in all in. Boom. The fees, everything, you see it all up front. No surprises. You don't feel tricked at the very end. The seat view. You won't feel tricked about where you're sitting either, because you get a panoramic view from your seats in the app before you buy the tickets, not to mention the lowest price guarantee and the Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. All right, Hanks. While Michkov, a little bit disappointing. Oh, wow. Charlie is ready. Hot damn.
Oh,
never mind. We will go now to
to
Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat writer. It is Charlie O'Connor coming to us live from Raleigh, North Carolina. Chuck, before we get into my questions, what were your impressions of the game, and if anything stood out during the team's post-game comments?
Well, the thing that stood out during the team's post-game comments is that John Tortorella had no interest in talking after the game.
Boy.
I believe he was asked 4 questions. 3 of the questions were answered with 1 word. Abundantly clear that he was very unhappy with this game. My guess, and this is just kind of going off of what a couple of the players said, and also what tends to be the case when he has these types of post games, I think he was just really, really frustrated with the way that game ended. He was, and as the fans, I mean, look, here's the thing with John Tortorella, and it's probably it might be his best and worst quality, is that the things that tick off fans are the things that tick him off the most too. And it doesn't shock me, after seeing on social media just how angry people were after this game, that John Tortorella is also very, very angry. Not even because the Flyers were terrible the entire game. Carolina's a real good team, and there were long stretches of this game the Flyers played right with them. But to give away the game at the end with a shift like that, I just think there's nothing that ticks him off more. And because of that, we got by far the shortest presser of the year. I mean, in terms of my view of the game, I thought, truthfully, first 2 periods, mostly, I would say, were good. You know, first period, they played about as well as I think they can play against Carolina. Second period, the shots on goal dipped, but I thought they controlled play as well as they could against Carolina. Third period, they score some goals. They're both kind of fluky, and Carolina basically had the puck the entire period.
Yeah.
And then you take a step back and you realize they had 6 shots on goal the final 40 minutes of the game. And you're like, whoa, okay. So my initial thought was they didn't play that bad. And then you look at the shot counter and you're like, they didn't play as well as maybe it felt like they were playing in the moment. And this has been a problem all year. Like they have the puck, I think, more than the shot counter would have you believe. But that's not necessarily a positive because that just means they're not doing a lot with the possession they have. And I think you saw that again, especially in the final 2 periods of tonight's game. Even when they had the puck, a lot of missed shots, a lot of missed passes. I'm thinking back to that one, the one goal that the Carolina scores, the one that I thought was the only real weak goal that Kolosov gave up. That was in quick transition, but that goal doesn't happen if the Flyers don't completely fumble the puck on the way up the ice. And those are the kinds of things that we've been seeing all season long. It's just the passes are a tick off. The receiving of the passes are a tick off. Like everything is just a tick off, and it's slowing down a team that wants to play fast. They're not playing fast enough, and therefore they're not getting the easy transition chances, the easy odd man rushes they were getting last year. They're not racking up the shots in that way. And then when they're in the offensive zone, they're off as well. I wrote an article about it today. If you want to check that out on PHLY.com about the offensive issues. John Tortorella said after practice today, after morning skate today, he was confident that the guys were going to deliver a better effort. Based on his very short presser, I don't think he came away satisfied with that effort.
Yeah, I thought they played for the most part as well as they could against a team that's considerably better than them. They came in on a 6-game winning streak. Like, Carolina's freaking good. I did think a lot of times during the game, man, the Flyers can learn a lot from the way Carolina just kind of fires the puck, especially against a goalie like Kochetkov, who doesn't have the best numbers this year and wasn't very great tonight. I think that could have been a big part of it. But I want to ask you about the Flyers goalie tonight, Charlie. You said you really only thought he gave up the 1 week goal. We kind of agreed. Like, tough night, absolutely, but it's always going to be tough against a team that averages 37 shots a game and has the puck as much as they do. It's high leverage the entire time. But I thought it was a good learning experience for Kolosov. Like, man, if he squeezes that puck at the end of the game, maybe it's an overtime. Maybe they steal a win in Carolina. Whatever it is. What'd you think of Kolosov tonight?
I thought he was fine. I think it's tough to evaluate him because the hard truth is that he shouldn't be here. Like, he should be playing in the AHL. But number one, they're stuck because Erson's hurt. Luckily, he did skate today, so it seems like the injury isn't that serious. He's on the trip. Fedotov obviously is a mess. And whether they're doing remedial work with him or whether they are sending him to Ellis Island or maybe a little bit of both, I'm not yet sure. I guess we'll find out on this trip if he actually does draw in a game. But in the moment, Kolosov is the guy, not because they want him to be the guy, but kind of out of necessity, both because Erson's out and because Kolosov is obviously in that weird spot where, maybe he could up and decide to go back to the KHL at any time. So they're giving him the opportunity. Whereas Fedotov, he's under contract for relatively big money for the next 2 years. I don't think he's just going to walk away from that. So they're rolling with Kolosov. And I think given the circumstances, he's doing about as well as one could expect. He certainly does. He certainly looks better than Fedotov. He looks like an NHL caliber goalie. He just looks like a raw NHL caliber goalie. You saw it with the goal he gave up to local product Eric Robinson, and you saw it in the third period in that miscommunication he has with Andrae to lead to the penalty. Like, you're just seeing these plays that happen maybe 2, 3, 4 times a game with Kolosov, where you're like, that's why it would benefit if he was down in the AHL for a season or a half season, whatever. Unfortunately, that's not the situation the Flyers are in. So he's up here. He's showing he has the talent to be a solid NHL goalie at some point. And I don't think he was bad tonight, but he's also showing enough cracks that remind you why, in an ideal world, he wouldn't be playing in a game against Carolina, a really freaking good team on the road.
Yeah. So, Charles, we saw Matvei Michkov find himself stable to the bench again at the end of this game. For most of the third, he didn't take
basically the second half of the third.
Second half of the third. What did you think of his game tonight? And do you think that was a warranted move by John Tortorella?
Well, I haven't gone back through the tape, so I don't know if there was one particular mistake or thing that happened that had him pull. Look, this does happen with John Tortorella. Sometimes what he does is it isn't one specific thing. It's just that well, I'm going to go with the guys that are going. And maybe he just didn't think that Matvei Michkov was going tonight. So he put him on the bench for the final 10 minutes or so of the period. That's possible. Now, John Tortorella was not asked about Matvei Michkov because he wasn't answering anything. So the chances of him answering a question about Michkov when, like, I asked him about Kolosov and his answer was okay. like he wasn't talking. So that's a question that probably is better meant to be asked in, on Thursday, the next time we talk to him, when hopefully he's in a slightly less angry mood. But is it possible that it happened because there was one play that particularly angered Tortorella? Sure, it's possible. It's John Tortorella. He's watching these guys like a hawk. There are things that he's told Matvei Michkov, particularly about the being the third man high and not, being out on an island in the offensive zone. They've been working with him a lot on that. And if Tortorella feels like he's not doing it well enough, maybe he would bench him. But given the fact that, number one, he did make a good play on the first Konecny goal, the one on the power play. So he did finish with a point. He's providing something. And number two, it wasn't like he benched him early.
Yeah.
In the third period, that really might have just been, I'm going to go with the guys that are going. Obviously Couturier and Konecny were going. He's sticking with that line. Maybe that's all it was, but I truthfully don't know.
Yeah, we basically said that, like, yeah, this is annoying, and especially maybe, in the final 30 seconds with the net empty, you got 6 guys out there. Maybe one of them should be the 19-year-old with 10 points in 13 games.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I did have to take a step back because NHL PR tweeted out Mish is the third Flyer in the last 30 years to have 10 points in 13 games or fewer to start his career. So it's like we're already judging him on this scale that is completely unfair. And when because my question for you about Mish is, what do you think of his shift-to-shift impact right now? How are you feeling? Because I just didn't think I heard his name enough tonight.
No, I didn't think he was very good at 5-on-5. And there have been some games where he's been good at 5-on-5 and just hasn't scored. He's created chances, he's been active, and teammates just weren't finishing. I didn't see that tonight. He messed up some passes he usually doesn't mess up. He flubbed some pucks. On the power play, he had his moments. He obviously does that maneuver, which is kind of becoming one of his maneuvers. Yeah. It's actually the third goal that he's been involved in, that he's helped to create by doing that, that carry the puck into that no man's land between the point and the high slot, and then just throw it on goal and hope for the best. That might be just a Michkov play that we might need to get used to. It might be one of his go-to maneuvers on the power play when he doesn't have anything else to do, so gives that a shot. So there's still something there. As you said, 10 points in 13 games, pretty good. But it's clear the 5-on-5 play does need work. The Flyers are working with him on it. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe that's playing into why he hasn't been as impactful, because maybe he's doing a little bit extra thinking rather than just reading and reacting, because he's trying to think like, okay, I got to be that third man high. I can't just, hover down near the goal line and wait for a pass like I would do naturally. And maybe because of that, he isn't being as instinctual as he usually is, and that's cutting back on his impact. And that might be one of those things where in the short term, it'll make him less impactful. In the long term, it'll make him a better player. That's when it comes down to development, and it depends on how much you trust John Tortorella and the coaching staff. I would agree that he wasn't great tonight, but he does get a point, so it wasn't a total loss.
What'd you think of the Sanheim-Drysdale pair?
Not bad. I mean, Sanheim makes a legitimately really good pass on the what was it, the Frost goal, the one that Frost whiffs on. Great pass by Sanheim. I thought Drysdale made some legitimately good defensive plays. Saw a lot of people on Twitter complaining about him, but maybe they're the people that will just always complain about Jamie Drysdale. I didn't think he was bad. I truthfully, I haven't looked at the numbers yet, so I don't know how they graded out from an advanced stat standpoint. But I saw him make some pretty good defensive plays. I don't think he was a standout. He certainly wouldn't be in contention for my top 3 stars of the game, but I thought he had moments. And given the fact that he was on the top pair and facing off against top lines quite a lot, I thought he was pretty good. I mean, compare that to a player I really like, Emil Andrae. He was rough tonight. He struggled. He very much looked like a rookie for the first time since his call up. And again, one thing we have to remember, and I know that last year raised expectations. I know Michkov being here had everyone excited. This is still a rebuilding team. And you're seeing it with the fact that they're developing Michkov, with the fact that they're throwing Andrae in there, the fact that they're using Jamie Drysdale, a guy who the coach a couple weeks ago basically said he still needs to learn how to play hockey. They're using him on the top pair against maybe the best team in the Eastern Conference so far this season. This is a rebuilding team, and they're going to make mistakes. I know these games are frustrating, and clearly John Tortorella shares your frustration, but maybe this is more what we should expect from this team.
I got to tell you, Chuck, the way the game ended, obviously, it's just a bummer. I'm really not that frustrated with tonight. Like, I thought there was a chance they get killed. Like, you have the fifth highest scoring team in the league, the team that gives up the fewest goals, gives up the fewest shots. Like, I thought they were going to get killed, and they hung with them. They got a few lucky bounces, but that was bound to happen at some point this year.
True.
There are individual plays to be frustrated with from the goalie on up for everyone. But Tippett had a nice game. Frost finally scored 2 from TK, a point from Mish. I could be a lot more disappointed. I have been a lot more disappointed with them this week, and it's only Tuesday. So I don't have the biggest problem with tonight's game. Do you, Hinkle?
No, I'm really not mad. I mean, like, it's one of those games where it's like, I wish they would have won that game. But like, for the most part, I expected them to get like rocked in this game, and they really didn't. For the most part.
Yeah, it really wasn't all that bad. All right, Charlie, you mentioned your 3 stars of the game, so let's get to it. Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars. Hit us with star number 3.
Star number 3, I'm going to go with a guy who only had 1 goal, but I thought was impactful all game long, Seth Jarvis. He's just one of those guys where, he only gets the empty net goal with 2 seconds left, but I thought he was one of the best players on the ice. I thought he was just everywhere, and he's one of those players where you have to be a real hockey fan to know how good he is, but if you're a real hockey fan, you know how good he is. And he just shined all night long. Like, I don't know if I would go so far as to say he is like approaching Sebastian Aho levels as like a guy who I could argue is like the best player on the Canes, but I think he's in his territory. He's in his area. And even though he didn't light it up on the score sheet, I thought Seth Jarvis was great all night long. Gets a goal at the end of the game, empty net to reward himself. So for that reason, giving him 3rd star.
All right. Hit us with star number 2.
Star number 2, my only Flyer star of the game, 1 Travis Konecny, 2 goals, 2 assists. I loved, and again, it wasn't just him, it was Couturier too. That forecheck goal that they had, the 2-man forecheck to basically manufacture a goal out of nothing. I mean, that's just effort and talent on both of their parts. But Konechny's the first guy in. I mean, he's the guy who puts that pressure on first. He was playing with jump all night long. Honestly, we got him after the game. I asked him a question, an honest question. He gave me a really honest answer. I asked him, what, because a couple of the guys were talking about like, there were positives, and Tortorella clearly with his answers implied that he didn't think there were. So I asked Konechny, I was like, look, you kind of said you think there are positives. Can you say specifics, specifics of positives? And he's like, look, when you're on the bench, you're so focused in on the game that it's hard for me to pick out a couple things. He's like, let me watch the tape and I'll get back to you. He's like, I think there were, but that's more just me riding the momentum of a game more than anything else. And it's a fair point, but for him personally, I thought it was a big positive. I mean, he's scoring, he's producing. Say what you will about, and I know guys like Tippett and Frost got on the board tonight, but obviously they've been struggling this year offensively. Say what you will about Travis Konecny. He's producing. He's living up to that contract so far. It's not on him that this team is struggling offensively, and tonight he showed it. That reason, he's my 2nd star.
Yeah, and I thought that goal was indicative of something they kind of did well, at least better than they have. And that's get in and get second chance opportunities, create some turnovers down low, get into the forecheck, be in the offensive zone. Didn't show itself on shots on goal tonight, but it was at least time that Carolina couldn't be transitioning to offense. And that's a change for this team. The bar is low with the way they've started this year. I'm not that upset about tonight, like I said. All right, Charlie, star number 1.
Yeah, I think this is a gimme. I mean, it's Marty Necas. Like
he's on one this whole season.
He's making a star turn this year very clearly. And he's on a hot streak. Obviously, he's not going to continue to score like 3 points a night like he's been doing for the past couple weeks. But this isn't a fluke. I mean, you're watching this guy on the ice, and he's everywhere. I mean, he's flying around. He's doing spinoramas. He's skating the entirety of the offensive zone. This is a guy playing with a ton of confidence. This is a guy who's making a lot of teams wish they would have ponied up whatever price Carolina was asking for him this summer, because holy crap, like this reminds me, if I'm going to make a comparison, this game, and granted, I don't know if this player quite got the same like ridiculous scoring hot streak that Natchez is on right now. It reminded me of watching Lafreniere last year, where you're just like, oh, he's figuring it out. He's figuring it out. And Natchez had a good year last year. I think he scored something like 50 or so points. He's had good years in the past. It just looks like he's taken a big step forward. And, you know, for a Carolina team that I think some of us were skeptical. I mean, I thought they were a playoff team to be sure. Thought they
Some of us weren't, Charles.
Thought they might take a little bit of a step back with the weakness on the blue line. But if guys like Natchez are stepping up into becoming legitimate stars, they're not going to take a step back. And if he can hold this form, I mean, damn, that's a player. He was the clear-cut best player on the ice tonight and the obvious number one star.
I feel like he's been watching a little bit of Saquon Barkley tape with the number of spin moves he's breaking out there. I was waiting for him to try to leapfrog somebody, but we didn't quite get that. He did put on a little bit of show in the offensive zone, though, Chuck. Before I let you go, did you get Tippett or Frost tonight?
We did. We actually got both of them.
Oh, okay. Anything interesting from them? Was Frost just kind of like monkey off the back, or, hey, we lost. Yeah, I finally got one. Cool. Yeah. I thought Tippett was really good tonight for the first time in a while. Yes. He had one of those Tippett games where, yeah, he had a goal and an assist, and that's what we need. But also on the shifts he didn't score, I still noticed him.
I would agree. I like Tippett's game. Frost's game I didn't particularly care for, except for the fact it's good to see him finally score a goal. Like, hopefully that gets him a little bit out of his own head and feeling better about his game. The problem is, and this is something that you run into with post-game interview access, like, we made the request when the game's tied. And we're thinking, oh, if they win, these guys are going to be real excited. They're going to be able to give, like, interesting quotes about, you know, breaking their slumps and how happy they are, and they'll be in a good mood. Then when you lose the way they lost, like, I'm not saying they were rude, because neither of them were, but neither of them wants to talk after a game like that, after it ends the way it did. You know, Frost was happy he scored, to be sure, but he was more bummed they lost, and same thing went for Tippett.
No, and that's to be expected. Like, even if he's feeling, oh man, I got one, or Tippett, like, I had a nice game finally, like, you can't be sitting there celebrating when you blew a game in the final 30 seconds. So that's to be expected. Maybe we'll get more out of them on this trip. Charlie will be back with us. You're on tomorrow's show. Is that happening? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I should be good to go for tomorrow's show. Yes.
I don't know the schedule.
I'll be remote, obviously, but I'll be there.
I thought you were coming home and then going down to Tampa. No. So that's Charlie
on the private jet, right?
Yeah, on the private jet, of course.
Yeah.
That is Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat writer coming to us from Raleigh, North Carolina. He'll be with us tomorrow, and he'll be in Tampa for post-game as well, and the rest of this trip. So, Charlie, I will talk to you tomorrow, my friend.
Farewell, gang. Have fun.
All right, that was Charlie O'Connor, and this is the PHLY Flyers post-game show brought to you by our friends at Bet365. But right now, I got to tell you about something important. It's getting your flu shot at Rite Aid. Lots of big games coming up, lots of fun holidays, all sorts of great stuff happening this time of year between sports, family time, hanging with friends, whatever it might be. Tailgating with Robert De Niro, maybe. That could happen again. Whatever it is, you don't want to miss it. So get a flu shot at Rite Aid. And while at the pharmacy, ask for a vaccine review and recommendations so you get caught up on everything and aren't in danger of missing all of the fall and winter fun ahead. The CDC recommends getting a flu shot every year. A person's immune protection from vaccination declines over time, so help protect yourself against the flu by getting your annual flu shot at Rite Aid. And flu vaccination may reduce a child's risk of severe life-threatening influenza by up to 75%. So you're going to want to do that. You're going to want to do it at Rite Aid. Flu vaccines annually formulated to help against this year's expected flu strains. They change every year, and your vaccination, your immunization wears off over time. So you're going to want to do it. You're going to want to go to Rite Aid and protect yourself against anything that might be going around by asking for your vaccine review and recommendations from your pharmacist, and stock up on cold, cough, flu, and allergy essentials. Rite Aid has what you need to get you through the season. Just walk into your local Rite Aid or schedule at riteaid.com. State, age, and health restrictions apply. Ask your Rite Aid pharmacist for details. While we're here, telling you, I shaved today during intermission. I wanted to go rally stash. I thought it would get them going in the third, but it didn't quite work. Yeah, but you want to maybe beard's a little thin, maybe you're thinning up top a little bit, whatever it is, you want to check out Glatt Hair Restoration, now under the direction of the Morgenstern Medical Group and Dr. Morgenstern, a renowned plastic surgeon. If you've been listening to John Marks for any amount of time, you know he's not just a talking head. He's a head of hair because he is a client, and they still have the same peerless approach to care, same expert team, same unmatched Glatt system, same state-of-the-art location, and the same stellar results now under the direction of Dr. Morgenstern. And each member of this exceptionally trained team brings 30-plus years of industry experience. Hair restoration is all they do, whether it's laser light therapy, non-invasive TED treatments, vitamin supplementation, topical and oral medications, PRP and stem cell restoration, or hair restoration surgery. You have to contact the Glatt Hair Restoration Center today. And each patient receives a complimentary one-on-one consultation to pinpoint the best course of treatment, because everyone's hair is different. Everyone is in a different stage of hair loss. So check them out today. Bald is now optional. If you want to improve how you look and how you feel about yourself, Glatt Hair has the right treatment for you. Regain your confidence. Visit glatthairmctr.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started. I want to get back to the forwards who did have bigger games tonight. First of all, it's Travis Konecny. 2 goals, 2 assists.
Great.
Another big game for TK. I know I wasn't the most enthusiastic about the TK extension this offseason, and it still might not be the thing that makes the most sense, but this team wants to compete through its rebuild, and in order to do that, you need your best player, and that's TK. I like having him around for this group. I really do, and nights like tonight, they didn't have much of a chance. Yeah, I did not give them a ton of a chance against the Carolina Hurricanes, who come in on a 6-game winning streak. I've run through all the numbers 100 times since pregame. They're real freaking good. And TK, 4 points. Flyers scored 4 goals.
Yeah, 4 points is wild. It's crazy how good he was tonight. And Couturier as well. It might not have showed up on the score sheet, but he looked great with him.
2 assists for Coots, though. Those 2 I thought had some real chemistry tonight.
Yes. I mean, Konecny is, at this point, the only guy living up to his contract, really.
Yeah.
And it's nice that somebody is, right? And like you said, you can't, I know everyone wants to pretend that it would be great for everything if the team was just like top to bottom bad, but it wouldn't be, because as we've discussed 1,000 times, there are players on this team that have to be good when the team is going to be good, if this is going to work. And having a guy like Travis Konecny around gives them something to learn from and look up to. And that's better than them just playing with a bunch of crappy hockey players. It just is. And like, if it had to be somebody, Konechny's, if it wasn't Travis Konecny, we would be out looking for somebody who would give us what Travis Konecny is giving us. So,
and that's the argument for what's going to happen eventually. When this team does decide it's time to turn the corner, you have that guy. Maybe he's not what he is right now then, but he's not showing signs of slowing down. I realize he's like not in his 30s yet, but some guys do keep it going. And the way Travis Konecny plays, I think it's important for him to be an example setter for this team right now. As they are having these struggles. He's a guy who's been through it. He's played some playoff games in his career. He's going to be one of the only dudes in that latter stage of their career in his 30s when this team does try to turn it around. The only one with like maybe substantial playoff experience. I realize they've never been to a conference final. I get it. Just saying, he's played in the games. He's played some freaking playoff games. He's been on the ice
more than most of them, right?
He's been on the ice in the playoffs against Sidney Crosby. Like that's some pretty good stuff. And just another big game for him tonight. Like Charlie said, that forecheck goal where he gets the puck back to Coots and then gets himself to the net to just kind of direct it a little bit, squeak through. That's some good stuff from TK. I am enjoying watching him play again. I'm glad he's still here.
Me too. Because if this is the season we're going to have, it kind of seems like this is the season we're going to have, then these are the kinds of games that I want to watch. I want to watch a game where Travis Konecny gets 4 points and they lose by essentially 1 goal.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want to watch. So cool. Works for me.
That's a good tank game right there.
Exactly. It's a perfect tank game.
They fought, you know,
Mhm.
the pace they played with, honestly, that's one of the things. This was an entertaining game.
It really
They have
was.
played some freaking boring games this year. And yeah, they were on defense too much.
Yes.
And they blow it late. And there were some mistakes. And Michkov sits for the last however many minutes of the third. There's obviously stuff to nitpick, and there's stuff to not be happy with. But my God, they have played some just horrible, boring games. Even games they've won. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
what did we just do for 60 minutes?
Right.
And now this was at least watchable. And I thought the intensity was good. TK's a tone setter. Like, he gets that goal to go up 1-0, and you go, oh, this is going to be a fight, because our dude who brings the fight is in it. And he was definitely in it tonight. So I was happy with that.
Same.
Owen Tippett. My God, if he could just hit the net a little more often, he would be an unfreaking stoppable force. The goal he scores tonight,
that shot was just,
and like, it's absurd. It's freaking absurd.
It was so good.
Righty on the left side, picking that corner. It's a goal scorer's goal, and it's so nice to see. It is an example of what frustrates us about him. It's like, but bro, just like do that a little more often. Do it a little more often. But I honestly liked what I saw out of that whole combination of TK, Coots, and Tippett tonight, and maybe that's one that's going to stay together now. What do you think? You think we get another game of those three?
I mean, I would imagine that you got to keep them together given the result tonight. It would be kind of weird if you didn't. But yeah, like just watching him rip that shot right off the pass, pick that top corner. It's like, you could do that every night, dude. Like, you're this close every night to doing that. Just find the corner instead of shooting it 3 feet wide. Like, you're right there. So I'm kind of hoping that this is, I mean, I know we've said this 1,000 times, but I hope this is one of those games that he's able to build off of and can actually get going. Maybe he's remembered that he actually knows how to pick corners, because, you know, he's quite good at it.
He is. He plays over 18 minutes tonight. He scores a goal, picks up an assist. Something I love. Now, listen, he did miss 3 times, but 6 shots on goal on 10 attempts. He's over 50%. Like,
I'll take it.
Listen, again, you see a guy, I realize he misses the net too much on average. But 6 out of 10, I am 100% cool with. And when you see the goal he scores, you remember, oh, he's not trying to put it in the goalie's chest. He's not shooting for a rebound. He's trying to snipe. Now, I think the biggest thing with him is getting his ass closer to the center of the ice. So, like, the net's in front of him, and he's not picking at a weird angle from all the way, you know, at the hash marks or wherever he is outside the dots. But I was happy seeing him kind of buzz around tonight. It's the first. He had a few early, but he didn't get rewarded. And then it kind of went away. JJ and Bush talked about it. Like, he was getting so many opportunities and just didn't score. Then he scored, and then he just totally disappeared for a few games.
Yeah.
This is the Owen Tippett we need. Obviously, he's not going to score every single game, 2 points every. That's probably already past. He's not a superstar. But damn, man, you see the ability, and he's got so many tools.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of like, it's almost annoying seeing him score that goal tonight, just because I feel like we could go back and watch tape from the rest of this season, and there would have been so many times that he could have scored that exact goal if he just didn't like bork it somehow in the last second. But like, I kind of want to talk about how different his goal was from Morgan Frost's goal.
Please, we haven't really talked about Frosty yet.
He tried so hard not to score that goal. It was remarkable.
I cannot believe whoever the defenseman, the Carolina player was, whose stick got there. I don't know how they missed. Like, I really don't know how that wasn't like a highlight. Oh, what a save by the defenseman to keep that out at the last second. It was just like crawling along at such a speed. The player was too amped up to stop it or something. I felt good for Frost more than anything. Like, all right, man, you got one. Try to get something going here because, listen, I am as close to done with Morgan Frost as someone can be.
I'm about done.
But it's not as if I'm not rooting for him. Like, listen, the
No.
biggest night of our careers still to this day, Hinkle, is that 2017 draft.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it. I'll never forget when he was drafted and, Tolvainen's name flashes on the screen. But, like, I just want good things for Morgan Frost. I want it to work. It would be so nice if it would work. Maybe a step in the right direction. Like Charlie said, this is at least, okay, monkeys off the back, and we can get something going here for one of those patented hot streaks.
Here's hoping, because the way that his body was positioned and like what he was doing, he was going to miss that net, that wide open net, if that puck actually hit his stick. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that he was going to miss if he actually got that shot off, but somehow it just hits his foot and trickles into the net. And maybe that's exactly what he needs. You know what I mean? Like, maybe that's it.
We've talked about guys in slumps before where it's like they need a Mike Knuble goal, man. They need one to bounce off the cup into the net. They need to get their eyebrow split open by a puck that ends up in like something to just get them going, so they have something to look at and go, all right, I'm not looking for the first. It's not a big zero next to my name for the goals. I'm hoping it gets going. Maybe if they keep that top line together with TK, Coots, and Tippett, maybe playing with Michkov will get them both going a little bit. Maybe that's something that we can bank on.
Not like we haven't seen it before.
Yeah, we will have to wait and see on that. Maybe it's Thursday, or maybe it's Saturday. And if it's Saturday, we can watch it all come together. That's right.
Together.
Yeah, at the watch party and live show at Screwballs and King of Prussia, brought to you by our friends at Coors Light. We're going to be draining some Coors Lights watching this team up against the Florida Panthers down there in Sunrise. It's this Saturday. Go to allphly.com right now to get your tickets. What does your ticket get you? It gets you 2 complimentary Coors Lights, so you can choose chill with me all night, and entry into the raffle. And up for raffle is 2 tickets to the Flyers Golden Knights game in a club box with $30 of concession credit right on the ticket. This is going to be a lot of fun. Our watch parties are always a good time, and we don't do events poorly. Vince assured me that the door prizes and giveaways, along with what we're raffling off, the main event prize, are going to be as good as they have been at all of our other events. If you were at the draft party, you know what I'm talking about. So come on out. Screwballs and King of Prussia this Saturday, the 9th of November, starting at 5:30. Live pre and post game. Drink some beers, watch the game with me while we root for our Flyers. It's going to be a good time. Hinkle
definitely will be a good time.
Hinkle knows these parties are always good.
They're always good.
She's going to be out on the West Coast, but she'll be with us in spirit. All right. Just one super chat so far tonight, Hinkle. What did you think of the I wanted to ask Charlie this, but it slipped my mind after I asked about Sanheim and Drysdale together. We talked just yesterday about the idea of maybe trying some different pairs out for when York gets back, and maybe you split up Sanheim and York so you have a little bit, one of your top guys on 2 of your 3 pairs. I didn't think they were bad tonight. Now, if you look at the advanced stats, Charlie said he hadn't gotten to look at them. That's he's a little busy. I just brought them up while he was talking. Just about 50% in the expected goals for those two together, Sanheim and Drysdale tonight. And listen, 49 point whatever. You want your top pair to be over 50, obviously. But in a game where you get more than doubled in the shot total, not the worst. Not the worst. I kind of liked some of the things they did out there. Maybe it opens Drysdale up because he has more confidence. Drysdale made actually a couple defensive plays tonight, which
he did.
Okay, we want to see that offense get going more, but maybe this is something to build on for him as well.
Yeah, I wasn't mad at it, and I did like the idea. We talked about this, I think, yesterday, someday, about the idea of them mixing up the pairs because, they have to do something when York gets back. And I don't know. The only thing is I'm not sure that Risto was as good in this game.
Yeah.
So
he made one good play, but he had a few. The one goal, the guy just totally gets behind him. He's, in in the spin cycle for a minute, and they're able to put one past Kolosov. That's the rest of the defense maybe struggled, but perhaps
Right.
York Risto is something that works.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, so Sanheim Drysdale was fine. I mean, good for the most part, but we suffered a little bit with Risto, and Andrae looked real bad.
Yeah.
And I kind of assume that might have had something to do with playing with Zamula.
That was, I think, the first goal. Puck gets sent around, rimmed around. Zamula just chases it behind the net. It ends up on Andre's side. Man open, wide open in front for the tying goal in the first. It's like, oh man, we really worked to get and keep the lead, and
fell
they
down
get it
on that one.
Yeah, it was Zamula had another oof. I do wonder if maybe they do an 11-7 thing in the next game against Tampa, but I wonder if Andrae having a rough night is an opportunity to get both Zamula and Johnson back in the lineup. But I mean,
well, that's crazy because I feel like it's obvious that the reason that Andrae struggled is Zamula. So like that's the one you take back out.
Of the three guys that might be in this rotation at some point when York comes back, Andrae and Eric Johnson are the ones that have looked the best together. So if York's not going to be back, maybe you put them back together. I'm very interested to see how John Tortorella handles this next game. Charlie's not going to he's not going to guess what they're going to do with the goaltenders. And Erson's on the trip. He skated today, so maybe he can play. The lineup for the next game, as it typically is with John Tortorella, will be interesting.
Yeah, I will say that it would be hilarious if they took out Andrae and kept in Zamula. Although I did see someone point out that Michkov hasn't had a point with Zamula out of the lineup. All of his points have come with Zamula in the lineup. These two things cannot be related, but also maybe they're related.
You know,
maybe he needs a friend at all times. I don't know.
Then we need to somehow kidnap Kirill Kaprizov. Then,
yes.
Artemi Panarin, come on down. We have Celtic prided you. Let's get him. Let's get him a Russian teammate who's really
Surely we can find another one.
Yeah, let's find one who's really freaking good. So they're
spotting. So far, we're really striking out on other Russians.
Maybe it's Kolo. Maybe it's Kolosov. 3 years from now. Perhaps not right yet. But I thought it was a decent game for Kolosov.
I wasn't mad at it.
No, I've been far madder at them.
I was madder on Saturday.
It's really just the watchability factor.
Yeah.
They played a game that was worth sitting down and watching beginning to end. And that hasn't been the case a ton of times this year. All right, before we wrap up, Hinks, you know what it's time for. Super Chats.
Super Chat.
All right, we have this one from Adam S. I don't care that Frost scored. He stinks.
Fair enough, bud.
Listen, there's a lot of games left. Maybe he could figure something out, but it's just going to be another one of those, hey, man, from November 5th on, okay, cool. But the season started, what was it, October 11th?
No, but if
I'm done with the...
If he turns it around, I'm not going to care what happened a month ago.
But then a year from now, we're going to be doing the same freaking thing, Hanks. That's the problem, is that this isn't an isolated incident. It's not like this is his first slow start. It's not like it's the first. It's just, it's very frustrating with Morgan Frost. He's not getting traded anytime soon. I think it's a real possibility in the offseason because he's a restricted free agent, and why commit long-term to a guy that
that's
you don't know what he is still after, the 2017 draft. I know you and I, again, it was one of the best nights of our time together. So we don't want to think of it as that long ago. 2017, the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Yeah, it was a while ago. It was a freaking while ago, It was, it's not like we don't have a pretty good sample size with Frost yet. I'm just trying to keep optimistic about him, I guess. But I mean,
he's here, so
that's the thing.
I need him to do good. He's not going anywhere.
Him. Right? Rooting against him is pointless. I hope he figures it out, and that extension makes sense. But if I think it's 50-50 right now if a year from now he's still a Flyer. I really think, and like I say, all things in life are 50-50.
Everything.
But yeah, like everything.
I go
But
60-40.
he is so freaking frustrating.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any more? Is that the only super chat tonight, Brenna? I believe it is. That's it. And that means that is all the time we have for you on the PHLY Flyers post-game show, brought to you by our friends at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. We'll be back with you tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Make sure you are subscribed, following the YouTube, PHLY Sports. The YouTube page, the one you're on right now. Make sure you're following us here. Set that reminder bell so you never miss a live show. Make sure those notifications are on. Follow us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers. Our schedule is always pinned up there. All of my thoughts during the game. That's where I do my in-game tweeting from, at PHLY_Flyers. So make sure you're following us. And follow the podcast wherever you get those. Just search PHLY Flyers. All right, Hinkle, it's almost 11 o'clock. I am going to let you go now. That is all the time we have. My name is Bill Matz. That is Kelly Hinkle. Until tomorrow, let's go Flyers.